Nigel, first of all, you've been here a couple of months already. How pleased are you to now commit your long-term future to the club?
Yeah, I'm very happy, to be honest with you. And I'll be honest with you, from the outset, it was something that I really was very keen to do, but totally understood the club's situation. And it's never easy to make appointments just on a Zoom call, let's be honest. So yeah, I think it helps the overall situation, just because I think there's been a level of uncertainty, and I think that at least now we can really start to plan with more clarity. But we've been trying to do that anyway. But I understand how it's sometimes perceived externally.
Do you feel there's enough there in terms of both players and infrastructure to take the club where it wants to go? It's been knocking on the door of the playoffs for 2 or 3 years now.
Yes, I mean, this year's been disappointing, of course, but we have a sound foundation. We've got a number of very good players. Unfortunately, at the moment, we've got too many who aren't available, and I think that's made, if you like, evaluating where we are a little bit more difficult. But certainly we have the foundations, and I think the club's stability in terms of as a business, but also the infrastructure that we have here in terms of the facility here, the Robbins High Performance Centre, and the stadium's very, 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 very good. So we're geared for success. What we have to do now is find the right formula in terms of developing the playing squad into a more efficient outfit.
That's the kind of question that's next to it. I mean, it can be an expensive division to get out of, Nigel. You're up against some real big hitters, especially ones who come down from the Premier League season after season. Have you been assured that you'll have the resources to give you the best possible chance of achieving what you want to? I
don't ask for assurances. What I have a very clear idea in my own mind is how we get from A to B, and that is that where we are at the moment, we've got considerable work to do, but that doesn't mean buying our way out of trouble, if that's how people want to frame it. It's not about that. We've got the basis of a already decent squad. We need to make them more robust, so that we have availability that is allows us to compete for longer periods of time during the season. Of course, when you're trying to develop a squad, it's about making the right additions when they become available. So I've got no doubts that we have the capability, because we've talked about it, to add to the squad. But I think if people just expect it to be a spending spree where it's just trying to buy your way out of the league, it's not really. I mean, clubs have done it and been successful like that, but I don't necessarily think it's the best way to do it. The current climate in terms of where football is during the pandemic that we've all been experiencing over the last 12-15 months, it means that the economic climate is forever changing. We have to be very mindful that we, I think, try to develop the squad by adding to it, but by also developing the players that we currently have here.
John, just finally for me, where do you think, or what do you think Nigel brings that perhaps some of his recent predecessors didn't have, in terms of the experience perhaps of getting you into that, taking that the final step?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as you say, the experience speaks for itself. I think it's the leadership that comes with it and the different qualities that has. So, I mean, we've got a lot of the pieces in place to perform from, like the high performance centre that we're in. But we need that leadership and that experience to really kind of push us forward. And obviously that's not overnight, but he's got a lot of the qualities that you'd want.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Ruth. Oh, hello there. Ruth from ITV West Country here.
Hey, Ruth.
Hi.
Hiya. I was just wondering, does this contract mean that the security will free you up to greater things at Bristol City?
Is that directed at me?
Yes, please,
Yes.
Nigel.
I just think it's really it's very important for me that, I mean, we've experienced a difficult second half of the season as a club. Certainly in my time here so far, there's no doubt that results have been disappointing in terms of points return. Some of the performances have been very, very underwhelming. Let's put it like that. So to have the club place the faith in me that they've shown, I think is for me something which makes me even more determined to deliver what I'm here to deliver. And I mean, look, there's no point hiding from the fact that we all aspire to be in a Premier League club, you know, and it's something that's eluded us over a considerable period of time. And I think it's also important to have some sort of transparency over how we go about it. So, if 3 years is a realistic time frame for it, great. But we all want it to happen as soon as possible. But I think the very fact that the club have put their faith in me, and you know, I find this as a challenge really, really stimulating. As a football challenge, it's really interesting. But the club is very well placed to be competitive, not just at this level, but certainly in the Premier League when we get there.
That's great. Do you think, John, is there going to be money around to back up Nigel's plans?
I mean, as a football club, we've always looked to support our managers. I mean, we've got, as Nigel said, we've got a number of high quality players that have been unavailable through injury, and we've got a number of youngsters who've developed this year as well. So for us, it's about the overall impact of that squad and the construction of it. We're not going to change the way we act and the way we do things, but at the same time, if the right opportunity is there, we'll always look to support it. So it's not something that we believe can be done just purely by throwing money at it. I don't think it's the right way for us to go, but we'll always look to improve, and if we can recruit the right players, then you know, we are in a situation this season where we do have some flexibility within our squad in terms of we have players out of contract and we have some choices to make.
That's great. That's enough from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Ian.
Hi John, hi Nigel, how are you?
Very well. You?
Good, thank you. You mentioned there the club putting their faith in you. At a time like this is a massive vote of confidence for you and for what you can achieve at this club, isn't it?
Yeah, pressure's on me now to deliver, eh? So, but I don't mind that at all. I think it's really, as I've already said, it really is a very interesting challenge, and I think it's something where if we get it right, then yeah, I don't know what the ceiling is for what we can achieve, but certainly we're geared for success. Where we are, yeah, clearly underachieving at the moment is on the pitch. But the most important thing is that now there is some clarity. I think that's very important for our fan base as well. That they see our commitment to trying to achieve success. I think that's always a very important message, and I'm really delighted to be here.
It clearly post Watford for you, Nigel. It was important for you to find a board of owners and people who wanted to trust you. And John, likewise, I mean, you've already said what Nigel brings, but I mean, together, has this day and this contract come as both of you talking together about it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of it is you have a shared vision and you know what you want the football club and the success to look like, and you can see that your ideas are compatible, and you can all see a way that you can achieve that. It's, as Nigel said, it's not straightforward, it's not simple, but if you start from that basis, you've got the potential for success, and that's what we fully believe. So I think it's a perfect match in that sense, and I look forward to getting going.
I've never heard you use the word project before, Nigel. I don't know if you have projects or aims.
Yeah, well, one of my projects before I came here was constructing a sauna in my garden, so, you know, I'd rather have this sort of project, quite frankly.
Promotion, I guess.
Although what I would say is a friend of mine is around there today doing the wiring for it, so maybe I'll catch up with that at some point.
But the project next season is promotion, right?
If it's not next season, then the season after. I mean, look, I think it's. I don't want to make promises that we can't keep. And I think the most important thing is that we have a shared vision. I've talked about shared accountability recently as well, and that's something which I feel is very much achievable here. We've got a greater chance of succeeding if there is a united front in terms of how we go about it. So I think those things for me are very, very important in terms of a working environment from a very personal perspective. It's the type of working environment I like to be associated with, and it's one in which they're the sorts of values which I preach myself. I'm not trying to sound as if it's one my way or no way. It's not that at all. I'm a part of a team. You know, I'm as much a part of the team as everybody else here, and I think what's important is that people have the opportunity to come on the journey, and if they don't want to, then they can leave it. But I think it's really important for us to, if you like, set the scene in terms of how we want to achieve our goals. And I mean, the thing about playing in the Championship is every club who plays there aspires to be in the top flight, and it's a really difficult thing to achieve. So what we need to establish ourselves is a very authentic working environment in which people know the roles, that they are able to deliver what they're there to deliver, and it's fairly straightforward in that regard, and that includes the players, of course.
The most important part of the team who are going on the journey, hopefully back next season, the fans. Your message to them, because I'm sure they're going to take to you straight away.
Well, all I would say is that I've been really amazed with the support that I've had when you consider the results that were endured, and it does feel like enduring them at times. It's been a difficult season, but I think what's really important is that we identify what the problems are, identify how we solve them, and then it's about having a solution-based environment in which people want to contribute in a positive way. So for me, that's the most important thing. But you can't get away from the fact that the business that we're in is about results. That needs to improve.
Listen, best luck to both of you, and hopefully I'll get down to Wrestling Gate next season.
Okay, cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Gregor.
Hi Nigel, congratulations on your long-term appointment. I suspect you might enjoy a nice cider at some point to toast that. My questions are actually for John more though, because I speak to you way too much. So
right, I'll remember that. I'll remember that next time you ask me a difficult question.
Okay. John, did you consider any other managers during this short period at all? Because Mark Robbins was linked in another media outlet, or was it always going to be Nigel for the long term?
I'm not going to name any names, Gregor. I mean, we did speak to at least one other person. The fact that when we appointed Nigel initially, we had some conversations that was we were going to take that forward and at least have a conversation. But since Nigel's been here, there's been no other indication or anything that we want to go in any other direction, just out of respect of what we discussed before. So it's pretty straightforward in that sense. It's unusual for us to be able to get to know someone a bit more before you get to make that decision. And as I think you've heard from the previous questions, it's a good fit definitely for us, and with the shared vision and everything else, I think we've got a really good foundation for success going forward.
On the background of the club, can you give fans an update on where the club is in terms of looking for new investment? Steve said recently on the Three Beeps in a podcast that he was actively looking for new investment to come into Bristol City. Is there anything advanced on that front at all?
No, there's nothing advanced on that, Gregor. I mean, the sort of the bit behind that really is something you should always be thinking, or something that I personally think you should. We've managed to take the club and the sports and city from one level to the next, and you've got to always be open-minded in terms of if there is the right partner out there to help us take it to the next level, then of course you'd be open to the idea. And we're in a situation now where we have the High Performance Centre, we have Ashton Gate, we have a lot of the foundations to take the next steps. If the opportunity comes along where there really is someone who also has the shared vision you do and can help you take it to the next level, then why wouldn't you want to listen? But yeah, there's nothing imminent.
CEO Mark Ashton has stepped down. When did you learn of Mark's decision to pursue a new opportunity? And has there been any consideration of placing him on gardening leave at all, because he is going to a rival EFL club? Yeah,
I mean, I heard shortly before it was announced. Obviously, we've known Mark a long time. He's been here for the second time for just over 5 years. So I mean, we've got a good relationship in that sense. I mean, you want to place someone on gardening leave if you don't have that trust there. So there's no problem in that respect. But yes, we need to transition from one person to the next as well. So Mark's got a lot of knowledge within the club, so there's no real need to do that. And obviously, Ipswich is they are, as you say, they're an EFL club, but at the moment they're not a direct rival in that sense. So there's no real issue there.
How will you look to replace Mark? Is there any chance that you might bring in a director of football? Is that something you're considering? Or will Nigel have just sole control over making football and recruitment decisions?
I mean, titles aren't really important, I don't think, in this situation. It's the role that you fill, and Nigel will have different skill sets than we might have had before. So you look to fill the gaps, and the best way to do that. I don't think we operate in a way where we'll have a recruitment model. I don't think it's a safe place anywhere where you have one person who dictates everything. But at the same time, you're never going to sign someone who the manager doesn't want, because what's the point? So it goes back to the collective responsibility in that sense. So we will look to replace with something that best fits what we've got, and it goes with the other point really of you can have the facility here and everything else, but it's the people within it that makes it high performing, and that's the bit that collectively we've got to get working together.
On the injury front, obviously it's well documented the problems Bristol City have had this season. Has there been any independent review of those problems, and how can we be sure that doesn't happen next season?
I mean, we see the same thing you do, Gregor. We've had far more injuries than we'd like. So, you look into that, and you try and put everything in place to make sure that you're in a better position next year, because there's no point having a well-constructed squad if you can't use it. So, I mean, that's in all of our interests to make sure that we can be as fit and as healthy as possible.
Is Andy Rolls leaving? Is that part of that, or is that completely unrelated?
Is that for me?
Yeah, sorry for you, John.
Yeah, I mean, Andy's gone to he has another opportunity as well. But I think it's something that's probably good for both parties in that sense, because a fresh start and a look at that is probably a good thing.
Is there any update at all on player contract negotiations? Because obviously there's 13 players, I believe, out contract in the summer. Have those negotiations restarted at all, or are you parking them, or are you going to have to let those players go?
We don't have to do anything in that respect. Obviously, we look at our budget and how we want to construct the squad, and we will start those conversations up in terms of who we all think we want to keep in that group, and obviously any new players we want to bring in as well. So, that's part of that normal cycle in that sense. But the point you make is that we do have that flexibility of being able to make those decisions.
Will you be keeping Famara Jeju?
I'm not going to comment on individual ones, Gregor.
No problem. Just finally, John, there was some anger from fans earlier this year when it emerged you were overseas during Dean Holden's final days as manager. Do you accept that criticism at all? Obviously, you are chairman, but at the same time, everybody can work remotely these days.
Yeah, we're doing this remotely, Gregor. So, I wasn't part of the bubble here, and obviously Nigel was appointed while I was away in that sense. So, it doesn't affect my day to day in terms of what my role is at that point. I'm chair of the board of the football club. So, day to day wise, Mark Ashton's on the ground here working that side of it. The reality is it's not a normal time, is it? The only difference for me is I couldn't attend the games at Ashton Gate. I had to watch them on the screen like everyone else. But I wasn't part of the bubble in terms of being able to see the team come to the High Performance Centre, the training ground as it was. So in that respect, it didn't really affect any of my duties.
Just finally, for Nigel, is there any team news for Millwall at the weekend?
I'm glad we got to a question about the game. Team news. Not a lot of changes from last week. We've got one or two players who will need to be assessed tomorrow to see whether they're going to be involved. So watch this space, Greg.
Thanks, chaps, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg, over to you, James.
Cool. Congratulations, first of all, Nigel.
Thank you.
I'll get through a few of mine quickly. I just wonder, you talked already about how preparations in your mind are underway for next season already. I just wonder, when you come in for that first day of pre-season, what's going to be top of your in-tray, so to speak?
I don't intend to finish at the end of the season and then just start again next year. It's going to be a very important summer in terms of how we plan, and that's players and staff alike. It's really important that we make sure that going into next season, I've used the word robustness. That's really important that we have a squad of players that's fit enough for the challenge ahead. Things never quite happen at the tempo or in the order that people want them to. But I think what is very important is that the vision of how we develop the squad this summer is very much there, and discussions. You don't just, when a window opens, then off you go to work. It's an ongoing process, and I think there is sometimes a misunderstanding in terms of how that looks and how it works. But we've got a very good idea in terms of where we want to strengthen the squad, and it's really important that our players have greater ownership of how we move forward ourselves as well. So, there is a bit of uncertainty in terms of the players at the moment, who's going to be here, who's not. But by the time that we do start back, I think there will be a greater unity, and I think that's very important, because the Championship remains one of the most difficult divisions to get out of, in the right direction, that is, of course. And so we need to be very, very competitive. And I think the lessons that we learned from this campaign, I think are pretty much there for everybody to see, that we've not been able to sustain the very good start to the season. You know, it was a really good start to the campaign, but having spoken at length to a lot of the staff who have been here all season, I think it's very clear that we need to be more effective in terms of staying in tight games. I just look at our statistics from the season. We've lost far too many games, but we've actually, for a team in the position that we're in, we've won a lot of games. So I made a point a few weeks back that we don't draw enough games either, and I think this is where it goes without saying that if you can draw half of the games that you lose, you've got a much better chance of being competitive. So our squad is probably at the moment lacks a bit of balance, but that is to a large extent because of the availability of players.
Sure. One more for you, Nigel, and then hopefully one for John, if I can squeeze it in.
Yeah.
I just wonder, obviously you've had Nigel run in with Wolves in the past, and then the Wolf of Wall Street was used for the announcement video. I just wonder if you had any say in that getting put together.
I've never had a run-in with Wolves. Never. There were dogs.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Nice try.
One for John then.
Yeah, sure. So John, I was just going to say, you talked earlier about Nigel's experience and how impressive that is in terms of bringing him in on a permanent basis. But you knew about Nigel's experience obviously in February when he came in temporarily. So I just wonder what's changed since then to mean you're now comfortable and happy to have him sign on for 3 years.
I mean, nothing's changed in that respect. I mean, normally it's not necessarily a time where you're looking to make long-term decisions. In an ideal world, you try and get through something, the season in that respect, and then look at where you are and where you're going forward. So we made that decision quite quickly because we were concerned about the position we were in, and then probably followed the due process we normally would afterwards. But obviously Nigel was one of the key candidates there anyway. So it was different in the fact that you've got somebody working for you before you have that sort of main interview, as it were. But if anything, that was advantageous rather than anything else.
Sure, lovely. Thank you very much, both.
Okay, thank you.